Make sure I'm on the actual stream. As most people who watch these streams know, sorry, my voice. It's been a very long uh, couple of days. Does look like I've been live for a few minutes. So here we go. So, there we go. So, hello everyone. Chloe Lewis here, founder of the Marmaj Foundation. I just did take one of this. I tried to be as fast as possible, and it still took me double the time that was allowed for the hackathon submission. I'm way too long-winded for that. We were allowed 3 minutes. I took like 6.5, and I still messed up so many things because I was trying to rush. So I'm going to redo the video, and this time just going to go through, NEP-819, all the details. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, leave them in the comments below. And yeah, let's get into it. So, what is NEP 819? So, NEP 819 is a near enhancer proposal, so NEP, and trying to create a burn standard for NFTs on the Near protocol blockchain. And this was for the NEARCON 2020 hackathon. You see the cute little kind of graphic Bianca made talking about the burn of the NFT. And then we actually have this NFT in the marmaj DAO. We could have burned it for admission to the event, but that means we would lose this receipt, this kind of showing, this visual showcase that we supported the event, that we went to this event. And that's what we're trying to hopefully work towards creating a standard for. So, executive summary. NEP 819 is a standard for burning NFTs. It acts as an extension to NEP 171. Uh, Arguably, just because you need 171 regardless, and we're hoping to actually add the burn standard to NEP 171. But regardless, it requires NEP 177 and 297. So if people are like, what the heck does that mean? From a very high level, NEP 171 is the main NFT standard for NFTs on Near. So if you're from the Ethereum ecosystem, I think it's EIP 77. Oh my gosh, I forget now. Like I haven't been doing ETH stuff for so long. 771, I think. Wow, that's crazy. Since we're doing a stream and I'm not like submitting this, I'm actually just gonna look it up. NFT standard for Ethereum. EIP 7. I don't know. 721. Okay, I was off by one number. So yeah, EIP 721 is kind of where a lot of this started, at least more recently. And now we kind of are trying to figure out how to not only build it on Near with 171, and then 177 is the metadata standard, and then 279 is the event standard. So again, there's a bunch of things that have to come together to make the burn standard work. And this is kind of a high level how that would work. So now, why even burn an NFT? And I think we kind of went over that before, at the very beginning, we kind of showed that Mintbase would, one second, sorry. We explained that, Mintbase did NFT ticketing for NEARCON, and those similar reasonings might be a use case for others. So you could be selling a physical product or an online product or good, and basically the user gets an NFT, they burn it, they receive the product. You could be hosting an event like NearCon, you could have ticketing. You arrive to the event, you burn the NFT, you grant it entry. So basically, when you burn an NFT, you destroy the token. High level, you kind of remove storage and all that from future blocks on the Near protocol. And so, if you're a developer, you're technically inclined, you could still go back to, index the previous blocks, get all the data, where it was transferred, who transferred what the metadata, like what the entity looks like. So applications can build on top of that and still showcase, receipts or whatever else, and still build out receipts. Um, but the idea is we want to make sure there's an actual standard, again, to allow for users to rely on this type of function. So we've been talking a lot about building beyond the hype at NearCon, And so with the marmaj team for this hack, we're talking about building beyond the burn. So right now, EIP 297, it has the event standard, right? So an event's emitted, but what happens beyond that? So we burn a token, what happens beyond that? So NEP-819 supports a standard for burning NFTs. With this standard, when a user chooses to burn their NFT, they will have the option to complete a utility burn. So again, on the right-hand side of the page, there's a wonderful picture there that kind of makes it hopefully very clear. You can have the typical burn that you would normally expect for an NFT. In my opinion, this probably should be part of a standard because while you might want to mint NFTs in a numerous variety of ways, typically, in my opinion, the burn could be a lot more standard. You're pretty much just trying to remove the storage, maybe get back the storage fees in the NFT, so you could be efficient getting back some near. But this utility burn function now, the main high level idea is you get a receipt NFT minted to your account. And so there's no mint function in any kind of standard or specification on near. So again, uh, we're kind of arguably building in some sort of basic minting function into a standard. So again, this by proxy, if it got added as an extension to 171, would add some sort of basic minting to 171, but it wouldn't be on like a mint function. It would be in the utility burn function. Okay, so what are the near enhancement proposals for NFTs? So there's a bunch of NFT standards on near. Sorry, long weekend. You have 171, the non-fungible token standard, so the main NFT standard. You have 177, non-fungible token metadata standard. So pretty much all an NFT is basically a Excel sheet, right? So you have two columns. You have your column with your token ID. So I have token ID 1, and it's going to point to some sort of metadata. So that can be an image of Marmaj J-Chan or an image of my face. But either way, I'm kind of just saying that token ID 1 is the metadata of my face. Token ID 2 is metadata of Marmaj J-Chan, and so forth. So we need to have that so we can burn an NFT, get the metadata, and put it in the new NFT. And how we do that, we have one implementation, but we would like lots of support to figure out the most efficient ways of doing this. So we're talking about there's token approval management. So that's when somebody wants another contract to manage a token, which we didn't talk about, uh, which we did not talk about in this specific EIP. Fungible token enumeration. So pretty much, if you go to someone's account, you want to know, and from a specific contract, all the NFTs they hold, or being able to go to a contract and count out every single token ID and the owners. So that's kind of an enumeration. We didn't go through that in this proposal. Uh, we might need an enumeration, but that's a whole different topic, I suppose, potentially for later. There's the NFT royalties and payouts standard, which again is not part of this standard, but if we built an application on top, honestly, any application on top of EIP 819 would probably require all of these EIPs except for EIP 245. The multi-token standard EIP is actually still in draft. But the rest of these are in like finalized status. So we probably should have put like a yellow symbol over the multi-token standard, and the rest of them are green and already live. So as it is, when you currently burn an NFT, like we've said, the record of it is removed from future blocks on the Near Protocol blockchain. Um, and when you burn an NFT, there's no standard options for what's happening with the NFT after you burn it, or even during the burn. And so we're trying to kind of standardize that, hopefully. NEP 297, like I've explained, is the event standard form, on Near for how you format events of what's happening on the blockchain. And so the fact that this NFP exists, in my opinion, shows that there's clearly a lot of effort and a need for, to standardize events for what's happening with NFTs and ensure that, applications and community members have a good understanding of what's happening with their NFTs. So the event standard is more for applications to be able to, have things happening on their UI based on the event. And it's very efficient because the events are not actually stored on chain. So a burn standard would not be that efficient, arguably. And again, that's why we're having it be an option. We're not trying to say that everyone has to do a utility burn and mint a new NFT receipt, but we're saying that people should have the option, and that option should be extended to more people. And why extend the standard? We kind of already talked about this, but um, the NFT standard currently does not have a mint or burn function. And so adding a burn function would make the burning of entities more efficient in general, would make entities on near have more potential perceived utility immediately because you'd have this built-in utility NFT burn. Um, and yeah, by proxy, you would have some sort of minting implementation in the standard, which could be helpful. So, NEP 819. Like, why is this kind of the solution to kind of some of the problems we've shared? And I've kind of already been pointing in like why, but specifically with NEP 819, NFT burn options are extended to include both burn, excuse me, and utility burn functions. So currently, there's no burn stated in any NEP on near, but we're trying to make sure that there's two burn functions available. Like I made a mistake burn and utility burn. When a user burns their NFT, they would have the options, and utility burn creates a receipt, a visual receipt to the owner who called the function, so the predecessor account. And of course, again, the predecessor account um, could be a smart contract like a DAO or a multi-call account. On the application layer, when someone's building out their own version of this, you could start saying, how many NFTs should be minted. So that's where we haven't gotten to in the specification or implementation so far. I think part of the issue is going to be enumeration. It's probably going to be needed because we're probably going to have to, when choosing a new token ID, um, it can't be randomized, obviously, and so we're going to have to know, okay, in the smart contract, um, what is the next available token ID, pretty much. So an enumeration will probably have to be needed because we're trying to put in a mint function, which requires a lot more, like, so, and this is why we also might need, so kind of going back, so when you start thinking about the non-fungible token standard, the only function in there is NFT transfer, from my understanding. Maybe some other like helper code and stuff, but the only real function you need to have in NFT standard, I mean, there's probably other things, so never mind. But the main one is NFT transfer call and all that stuff, but no mint and no burn. So when we do have the utility burn and we're minting an NFT, we probably have to deal with some sort of approval management potentially. Um, but for now, again, in the standard, we're only going to deal with, okay, if predecessor account Chloe.near utility burns, then Chloe.near is the new owner. We're not talking about if a DAO wants to burn on behalf of Chloe.near yet. So that's probably where approval management would come in. But that again, that can be handled on the application layer. And so, what are we doing here? We're extinguishing burn limitations. So NEP 819 is just the beginning of offering numerous on-chain flows for creators, developers, NFT owners, holders. It doesn't really matter too much. So in the future, we hope to extend the standard and build upon it to allow for more possibilities. So for example, we hope to keep working on the standard and maybe add an enumeration potentially and whatever else is needed after more feedback. But like a lot of the projects we're thinking about is like NFT evolution. So you have an NFT. What is it? It evolves in some on-chain way that's very clear. Um, but the evolution could be built into you have an NFT, a utility burns, and the new NFT is kind of born um, as well. NFT receipts, which we've talked a lot about today. So ticketing, coupons, membership. Yeah, I'm sure many people kind of understand kind of the specific receipts, and that's kind of what we're mainly talking about here with the basic NEP, and then NFT gaming. I have quite a few personal like ideas here about how NEP 819 or just the utility burn function in general would support gaming. I think one of the coolest kind of ways to think about this is, you know, collaborative action. So, like crypto heroes, you sign into your account, you gather in a party, in a group of other Near accounts, and they have their own NFTs. Um, they deposit NFTs into their own or into like the escrow contract or their own contract, so they can have gear and weapons and items. And then, when it's time, at a certain block stamp or sorry, a certain block height, the dungeon's open, and any of the, players in this game, would be able to attack the boss or, use the entire group's strength to attack the boss. Um, and so the idea is, once this boss, died, its health points ran out. Um, Again, the idea would be there'd always be a receipt for those players. So the boss NFT would die. Um, you'd have these users, for example, these players potentially in a DAO, and the DAO would be the owner of this NFT that got burned. And so when there's a reminting of a receipt, it would go to the DAO, and that's kind of where on the application layer, um, all we'd have to do is, if we had like a number for how many. Maybe again, you could utility burn and get more than one NFT because whoever's calling the utility burn function is also paying the gas. So if like marmaj Gaming DAO had 8 players on it, and it said, utility burn, um, 8 NFT, anyways. That's more, a lot of this is going way into the application layer stuff. But the idea is to have the standard for burning and minting something new so that it's easier for developers to kind of build what they want on top without worrying about digging into the weeds, which could be fun, but not as efficient when you're just trying to get through something. And what's the impact of NEP-819 on here? So if we have a burn standard or utility burn standard, a burn standard, and we have these two functions, the burn function and utility burn function, in my opinion, extends the possibilities of burning to artists creating NFTs on Near. So again, I mean, most platforms allow for burning of NFTs anyways. Um, but if this was a standard, again, it would allow anyone creating any NFT platform to obviously burn their NFTs. Um, uh, but the utility burn specifically would allow artists to kind of turn what they're doing into a usable, I don't want to say product, um, but what we're saying is that instead of having just a normal NFT, we're actually making NFTs utility NFTs by adding this function in as a standard. Um, so yeah, increases the features offered by NFT platforms building on Near. So this kind of is extending point number one, where instead like the individual artist, yes, has all this new possibilities and power with utility in their NFTs. That's awesome. Um, but really, this comes down to like platforms, right? Where a platform would out of the box be able to allow its users to have this utility with whatever they mint. So I think as well, I think you have mint base and the burn function and this redeemer possibilities. So in my opinion, redeemer is great, being able to burn NFT, have the event emitted, see it on a screen. That's wonderful. Um, but having this be like out of the box for any NFT smart contract on Near, in my opinion, seems valid and useful. It offers NFT owners a visual receipt of their interaction with Near. So again, if we're talking about building beyond the hype and we're talking about the next billion users, then the average user is not going to be caring about what happened on a chain. They're not going to care about indexing previous data because they have to go before the block height of the event they went to. They probably just want to go to an event, tap their phone or scan some QR code. Maybe click one button like a yes, I authorize the burning. And on an application, it would you'd scan a QR code and you'd say check into event. You check into the event. That would hopefully be calling the function of utility NFT burn, and then you just get some sort of NFT minted to your account saying this is what you burned, and that's it. And forever, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I mean, hopefully the near blockchain still exists, of course, then we will have the ability, the owner who burned the NFT would still have the ability to see this visual receipt in their account. And then, of course, because we have the two functions, the burn function and the utility burn function, um, the user who gets this new NFT would still be able to burn it normally. And if someone wanted to keep utility burning, I guess you could have utility burnception, but that's also very valid because again, in these evolution type of settings, you might have 10 different evolutions. And so if you're thinking about like even self-expiring membership evolution, where every year the membership would like burn, but you still want like showing that yes, I was a member in 1998. But then you're still going to have, the new edition minted or created every year regardless. So it's just going to keep, you interact with this NFT for a year based on those interactions and the burn. It's going to mint a new NFT for you, which acts as a receipt, um, which then you could, interact with that utility burn NF the receipt, sorry, you can interact with the receipt NFT in some way, maybe in the same platform, maybe in a different platform, and there could be a utility burn there as well. So again, high level, let's say we had marmaj memberships for 2022. The year's ending soon, and so at the end of the year, let's say they burned, got a receipt, and marmaj is coming up in January. And so what we could say is, okay, well, this receipt is not going to be used for governance on a DAO anymore after the year's up because the NFT that was able to be used, that smart contract, is actually burned and deleted. Here's a new contract that gives you a record to the old contract so you could still know what's going on. But this new smart contract address is valid for certain things, like maybe getting merch at marmaj, or maybe a free ticket, or other things that are available. But you could still just have, utility burnception, which is pretty interesting. And then it extends the core NFT functionality to provide options for burning. And to me, this is kind of the biggest thing. So I'll, keep kind of reiterating on it. It's all about options. And so currently, obviously, any application can build out whatever options they want. But the point here is that we're trying to say that without having this as a standard, we kind of just give everyone arguably no options, because you can't rely on even having an efficient burn, or in some way, and then users can't rely on having utility burn either. So yeah, having those options of being able to kind of delete the contract entirely or have a receipt to show off your interactions is pretty useful. And thank you for those that might have watched this stream. Again, I tried to stream this earlier and be as fast as I possibly could. And so this took me 22 minutes, and I think I did a pretty good job digging through everything. I probably did a little bit extra, like going through the NFT standard and like making sure I had all the correct information. Um, but yeah, hopefully this was helpful for someone. This is like just the beginning, in my opinion. And so, like when you're trying to get an NEP submitted, you have to get buy-in from many different community members and projects and teams. And so we do have our GitHub link, so I will come show that as well. NEP-819 do loss. Let's see if that shows up. Nope. NEP-819 GitHub. I want to see if it comes up yet. Nope. That's okay. Let's just go to GitHub. And maybe I'm not even logged into GitHub on this browser. Yeah. We'll open the next browser. I just want to go through it quick at the end here because I mean, I'm already streaming. I know the quality of this video isn't perfect or great by any means, but um, still, I want to make sure this kind of one video carries everything because again, I'm gonna be streaming about this monthly if we actually want to get this implemented in any kind of time frame. So here, I forked the entire um, repo. So you can go to the NEPs here, NEP1, NEP21, NEP141, NEP145, all this type of stuff. And then you could see that we have NEP-819 that was upgraded 20 minutes ago, or 2 hours ago. So similar in the PowerPoint: summary, motivation, rationale and alternatives, specification. Not perfect. I will admit I am not the best at trying to write technical specifications. But again, this is where I just tried to get what I have for now, and then hopefully have people can add issues and support this continuing. So I kind of just wrote down like the specification is there's two edit functions for NFT burning, burn, utility burn. I think that there's certain things that are missing here, like enumeration and such. And so I kind of just wrote it very quickly. What happens when two entities are burned in the same block without enumeration and in an async scenario? So I think this requires a bit of testing. I would assume though that you would just get an error and then you would lose your NFT. So that could be the security implementations. And I was talking to Lennart about this yesterday as well. So if you are a user, we were thinking more about what if the application didn't even add the utility burn function or added it incorrectly or something, and a user went to go utility burn, and what if the burn still happened, but there was no minting or no, like the reminting had an issue, or you said, hey, I want you to be token ID 91, and then someone else burned in the exact same block, and they're supposed to be token ID 91. Um, I know that currently, I think the function we have just takes the previous ID and adds one. I don't think that's probably the most efficient way to do it, but again, we've been hacking for like 2 days on this, and so we're gonna have to keep thinking how that works in like the unresolved issues and security implementation. So maybe it's not security, maybe it's just unresolved because it's not really a way to steal funds. But as a user, you could make a mistake, which you don't want. Um, and yeah, where's oh oh I thought we 1 second. I think I merged the wrong thing. 1 second. Actually, I'm gonna stay live streaming for this because so here's the actual burn implementation, right? And so this was last night. We kind of 14 hours ago, last commit. And let's see, let's just make sure that I know what I'm talking about. Let's see, let's see. Okay, so here was the pull request. So that doesn't exist anymore. I deleted that. Actually, I want to restore the branch just so I could see it. Just to keep it available. I was thinking about this last night. I was like, okay, or I merged it this morning. Um, I restored the branch. I know, like it says you're all set. The branch can be safely deleted, but I kind of want to just be able to click it and see it. Yeah. Ah, interesting. Cool. Anyways, this branch is, yeah. Mm, here. That's why. It's in this. Okay. So I'm just gonna alter this actually quickly. So building the Rust contract, self, mute self. prerequisites, writing Rust contract. Wait, tests, status. What? Added comments. Oh, okay. So I'm trying to make sure. Yeah, like I know the entire Rust contract was added. Okay, so in master, because I mean, okay, so eventually the point I'm trying to make is that um, right here where it says reference implementation, we need to actually write out the implementation. And I know that, like, again, we're not there yet, but I'm trying to see. Yeah, I'm not the best with Discord, so I mean GitHub, so I might have to. But oh yes, we're ahead of Near Master. That makes a lot of sense. NEPs 2 hours ago. Okay, so yeah, this is what I'm looking for. The Near SDK RS NFT utility. That is the project. Ah, so you just put the entire thing here. I understand. Sorry. So basically, we have the NEPs, right? Which is where I put, and then eventually we're going to try and take this Near SDK RS NFT utility entire Rust contract that actually works for NFT utility burn or whatnot, and we're going to add it to the NEP 819. Not for this morning's submission, but eventually. So yeah, hope this video was helpful for people. If anyone wants to talk more about NFT standards or getting involved, please reach out. Um, well, I mean, we definitely need help um, from everyone who wants to get involved. So yeah, I'll end the video there. Thanks everyone, and yeah.